everyone for your patience. We ran a little bit over. We were in executive session. We're now going to exit executive session. Would anyone like to move us out of executive session? Second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, with that, we are back into a regular session. And we're gonna go right into an audit committee.
I asked Lisa to send you the file today that had all the reports that she's gonna go over tonight. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but, that's where we are. It's the minutes from our February meeting.
Me, I'm up.
All
Yep,
you.
you're up.
Can I sit or do I have to stand?
You can do whatever you like.
It's a little hard to see you from there,
I
though,
can't
that's all.
see you. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
All right. So yes, I did send you the drive that said Audit Committee 5/12/25. The very first item on the agenda is the review of the February 3rd Audit Committee minutes. And I believe that is the second, it's a Word document. I don't know if you need a motion or a second. Yes, okay, very good. The next item on the agenda, excuse me, is the 25-26 external audit update. Mr. Alan Walther from Bonadio Group is here to provide information about what they are looking to review as part of the audit.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
I'll email. I'll email you.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know. Good evening. I think I know most of you, but my name is Alan Walther. I'm a partner with the Bonadio Group. We are the school district's external auditors. I prepared a brief PowerPoint presentation to talk about the upcoming audit for the June 30th, 2025 school district fiscal year. So the first slide is the scope of our audit. Our scope of our services. Our primary objective is to audit the school district financial statements in accordance with government auditing standards. In conjunction with that, we also audit the school district's extra classroom activities funds in accordance with the cash basis of accounting. We will issue a report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance in accordance with government's auditing standards, or otherwise known as the Yellow Book. We will issue a management letter. If necessary, we assist with the preparation of financial statements. The financial statement preparation is predominantly taking your fund level financial statements that Lisa and Christy maintain and converting them to the government-wide financial statements as well. We also offer unlimited phone support throughout the year. We're working on a payroll question as we speak. We do get a handful of phone calls throughout the year, and no charge for that service as well. The next slide is our responsibility. So this is what the responsibility of the auditors is. Performing an audit in accordance with government auditing standards, expressing an opinion as to whether the financial statements are presented fairly in material respects in accordance with GAAP being generally accepted accounting principles, reporting on internal control and compliance, reading the other information in the financial statements and considering whether it is materially inconsistent with the financial statements, communicating fraud and or abuse in accordance with professional standards if we find any, communicating specific matters to you on a timely basis, and we will plan to perform our audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the school district's financial statements are free of material misstatements. The next slide is governance responsibilities. This is the responsibilities of the Audit Committee and the Board of Education. So the governance is responsible for overseeing the financial reporting process, right, at the highest level, setting an appropriate tone at the top, and reviewing the school district's activities in the financial arena, discussing significant accounting, internal control matters with management, informing us about fraud or suspected fraud and abuse, including your views about progress. At the very last slide in this presentation is my contact information, and for people who work on the job, feel free to reach out if there are any concerns, any areas that you think we should focus our attention on. Informing us about any matters that are relevant to the audit. Any matters warranting particular audit attention and communications received from regulators, matters related to internal controls, and your views regarding your communications. The next slide is management's responsibility. This is the responsibility of the administration. Management is responsible for taking responsibility and fairly presenting the financial statements in accordance with GAAP, right? We do assist in preparation, but ultimately, the school district's financial statements, not Bouton DO's. Management's responsible for designing, implementing, and maintaining effective internal controls, communicating significant accounting and internal control matters to us, providing us with unrestricted access to all persons and all information relevant to our audit. An audit needs to be without scope limitations. Anything that we ask for regarding finances is fair game. Informing us about fraud, abuse, illegal acts, significant deficiencies, and material weaknesses. Adjusting the financial statements, correct material misstatements. If we do have adjusting entries as we go through audit, we will provide them to Lisa and Christy, and at the end, we do make sure that the school district's general ledger is reconciled to audit report, so that they both match exactly. Informing us about material subsequent events, and then finally providing us with written representations in conjunction with financial statements. The next slide is audit risk. So audit risk is defined as a combination of the possibility that errors or irregularities exist in the school district financial records, and that such errors are not discovered through the school district's own controls, and audit procedures performed fail to uncover them, right? So that would be the definition of an audit failure, right? There's an error in the financial statements, the school district didn't find it, we didn't find it, the school district financial statements are materially misstated. So what do we do to reduce that audit risk? We focus our attention on your organization, your operational risks, your tone at the top, control environment, and how you monitor controls. We focus on critical business processes and internal controls, and we look at the school district's significant accounts and the related disclosures. Some of the detailed procedures that we do, evaluate and review controls and control environments. We do some internal control testing. We do walkthroughs of payroll transactions, cash receipts, cash disbursements. We evaluate risk assessments, test key controls, and then we test significantly, substantively, the year-end balances, your cash, your receivables, your payables, your long-term debt, to make sure that your financial statements are fairly stated. The next slide, significant audit areas. These are areas each year. We're actually in the process right now. We're doing our risk assessment today and tomorrow. So we're here as we speak. Each year we do a risk assessment and we modify our audit program accordingly. But what's on the slide here are some areas that we will look at every year. Revenue recognition, making sure that property taxes, state aid, federal aid is recorded in the proper period. Management judgments and accounting estimates. There's some significant estimates in the financial statements. We do look at those every year. Other post-employment benefits, compensated absences, legal matters. Journal entries. We're required by professional standards to take a look at journal entries every year. So we'll do that. Capital projects, we always look at to make sure that capital projects are accounted for correctly and staying within budget. Payroll, we look at payroll every year. Payroll is by far the largest expenditure of the school district. And then finally, fund balance reserves. We always look at those to make sure that you're in compliance with the New York State 4% limitation. The next slide is materiality. Materiality is a very important concept for us as your auditors. Without materiality, we wouldn't be auditors, we'd be employees, we would be looking at every single transaction, right? So we determine materiality based on individual opinion units of the school district, your government-wide financial statements, general fund, etc. And what materiality is we determine tolerable misstatement, which is the maximum dollar amount that we would be willing to accept and still be able to issue an unmodified opinion on your financial statements. From our misstatement, we determine test scope, and our test scopes are dollar amounts for substantive tests. Yes.
Can you give an approximate what has been historically the maximum dollar amount that has been acceptable?
It goes by fund. So on a sliding scale, your government-wide financial statements would be the largest. Your general fund would be the next largest. Off the top of my head, I don't have that. I can share that with Lisa.
Is it a percentage then?
It's based upon, there's a formula. It's based upon the school districts. Generally, we use expenditures. So we take your general fund budget. Basically, we back out interfund transfers, that kind of thing that are, that's within, and come up with a number, and then we take a percentage.
Okay.
But yeah, I can share that with you.
That'd be cool. Thank you.
Yep. So we use a dollar amount when we're testing cash, receivables, payables, based on our materiality, and then for control testing, it's just a sample size. When we test controls, we're not concerned with the dollar amounts. We just want to make sure that the school district is following its own policies. And then from materiality, as we go through the audit, if we do find adjustments, we keep track of them, and if the adjustments cumulatively exceed our tolerable misstatement, then the school district has to book those. Okay, if we have past adjustments, usually we just book the adjustments, but if we have past adjustments, they will, all adjustments will be reported to you in the required communications letter. The next slide is our timetable. The preliminary work date, April 24th, 25th, is not correct. It's May 12th and 13th. We're doing it today and tomorrow. Our final field work is scheduled for the week of July 21st. As the calendar turns July 1st and the school district determines their next audit committee meeting and Board of Education meeting, let us know. We'll get on the schedule so that we'll meet all of the New York State reporting deadline for October 15th. The next slide, new developments. We're working with Lisa as we speak to help the school district implement GASB 101 compensated absences. What GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board that sets the accounting policies that the school district needs to follow. There's a new standard with regard to compensated absences. It just changes the way that it's reported on your financial statement. Your compensated absences that are actually paid out to your employees are based upon your contracts. That's what gets paid out.
But wait, okay, you're just glossing over. So I had a more white hair grow today. We have to do, in order to make it a correct and accurate amount, we're going to do a 3-year look back period and do the calculation for the past 3 years. Then we're going to do the calculation as of June 30th, 2024, and then we'll do the June 30th, 2025. So it's a lot of number crunching. Just leave it at that. It'll leave your mind spinning. So, sorry, Joe. Sorry, Alan. I had to put that in.
Yes, fair enough.
Sorry.
Fair enough. The adjustments, to the extent that there will be one, will affect your government-wide financial statements. It will not be a general fund adjustment.
Are we gonna need to create a reserve for this, Lisa?
Yes,
Do you think we're good?
it would be the wise thing to do. Yes.
Yes,
You'll have a recommendation.
yes. That's one of the allowable reserves for New York State. The next slide, we are required to follow up on prior year findings, which is easy because they were done last year, so good job. And then finally, the last slide here is the client service team with our phone numbers email addresses, again, if any concerns, anything that you'd like us to take a look at, feel free to call us, shoot us an email, and we can consider that. And then, any questions? Can we go through on it?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you guys in,
We'll see you. Yeah, thanks. At this time, Christy will review the school lunch profit and lunch report for March 2025. Here's some things that you should take note of. Go.
Hello. So I'm gonna go over the March school lunch fund, and I'm gonna start with the revenues. Obviously this compares to last year. Our meal sales did go up year to date. Other sales went down. Surplus foods is down. And this year, one of our biggest things is we didn't get the supply chain funds that we got last year. There was a farm to school grant through cooperative extensions that we took advantage of. And so the revenues overall year to date, we're down 34,000 compared to last year. For expenditures compared to 2024, salaries are up about 13,000. Contractual expenses were right in line with last year. Food purchases are down this year about 5,000. Supply purchases are down about 10,000. Our retirement is up about 8,300, and health and dental benefits are up 17,000, making our expenses higher, $39,000 this year. Overall, year to date, we have a shortage of $139,000 as of March.
So that basically wipes out our June 30th, 2024 fund balance in the lunch fund. You had a positive fund balance, but right now we are in the red.
So what's your recommendation, Lisa?
Well, the recommendation will be to collect any outstanding debt, and that I need to review with Paul. Next year there's not free for K through 12. We just need to make sure we apply for any federal reimbursement. Right now, we don't know what the process is going to be to apply, or what the reimbursement will be.
Can I add to that too?
Go ahead.
I have not seen anything on any bills yet or any specifics on how that money is gonna go, so, you know, Paul Franchi's like, yay, it's free, and I go, nothing's free until I see the regulation and the bill that came out, so, yes, we may be getting funding, I just don't understand exactly how much, what it's gonna look like, and how we're gonna benefit it, so as soon as we see that come out in the bill, and how it's written, I think then we can say, you know, it's free for kids, but I don't wanna like say anything until I see it in writing, exactly how schools are impacted, school wealth ratio, is that included or not included? That hasn't been clear yet on any of this, so I really am waiting to see that. But yes, it would be great if it was free lunch, and then it would definitely help us offset some of our costs as well.
Yes, and then we'll have to look at any of those extras that are sold, look at the pricing for the extras, look at the adult price, and just look at increasing prices. It's what we can do and apply for claims. Okay. Number 4 is the claims auditor report for April 2025. That is a spreadsheet, and that is prepared by Robin Birch. I asked her to break it down by fund and warrant. She does that on a separate sheet, and then she goes into what items did not make the cut and why they did not make the cut. And most of the items that Robin will question or kick out, and I'm talking about claims, have purchase orders which are after the date of the invoice. That's a big no-no. But that happens frequently in all school districts. So we're doing our best to address it. And there are certain departments that are better and certain departments that are not as good about getting purchase orders before we actually make an expense. Okay, number 5 is the review of the revenue status report. That is attached. As of today, we are right on target to receive our 24-25 general fund revenues. They're coming in as budgeted. Number 6 is the 24-25 appropriation status report with history. That's the document that you folks like. It has all those years and it has really tiny amounts. But as of Friday, when I did it, we are 75% spent for our budget. So let me phrase this way. Our 24-25, we have a budget. Our 24-25 expenditures as of May 8th, we've spent 75% of that number. That is right on target. We're going to have significant expenditures come up in June with the multi-pay and also with debt service. So we're gonna see that 74 jump to 94, 95, 96, which is where it should be by June 30th. State aid analysis. Yes, we do have a new state budget. Everybody was all happy and saw all these wonderful amounts, and I'm gonna burst your balloon. Sorry. Business officials, we take a class in bursting balloons. Okay, so the foundation aid that was originally proposed in the executive budget in January is the exact same thing that was the final budget. So there was no further increase in the foundation aid. It was $111,000. Okay, we did see an increase in transportation aid, approximately $95,000, and that has to because we received the new 2 buses in February, March, and we've already claimed them. So we've generated aid. We saw a slight decreases overall in the textbook, software, library, and hardware aids, and that just has to do with pupil counts. And I believe that the snapshot was originally in January, and then they took another snapshot in April, so our pupil counts might have changed slightly. Public excess cost and high cost, again, that changed slightly, like $34,000. The second biggest increase was BoC's aid, and that BoC generates a projection on behalf of the district. It's notable that our commitment for 25-26 BoC's is less than our current year. So that projection aid is based upon what we've spent so far in 24-25. So please don't get excited about additional aid. Again, this is a guarantee. It's not guaranteed until the district submits the state aid in August. It gets cleansed and released in November, and then we actually know what we'll receive for 25-26. So there's a big lag.
I want to say something about the state aid run itself. If you look at the state aid run itself, and I got a little excited when I saw
Yes,
this, universal pre-K, it was the expenditure that we did last year, so $124,198. It looks like, if you look at it this year, what the state has given us is $361,800. That is not actually true. So I got confirmation that is how much that the state has allocated for us at $5,400 per pupil to serve up to 67 students. So the per pupil expenditure still is $5,400. It has not changed. We can only spend $5,400. So we have 10 kids, it's $50,000. So it gives you an example. We don't have the leeway to use that money for anything other than pre-K, and we can only use $5,400 per student for that. So that's why. That's one of the biggest concerns that people have when they're talking about this, is that they would like leeway for school districts so that we can either increase the per pupil amount. So if we had 10,000 per student, it'd be great. We could service 37 students, more than we ever had, and I would guarantee programs that. But that's not what the state is allowed. So it is still, even there, it's for 67 students at $5,400 per pupil. Program is not gonna run for $5,400. So.
Think about state aid as being a cup of tea, okay? Not a tea bag. Think about it as a cup of tea with all these loose pieces. When you get to the bottom of your cup of tea, you actually find out what you're drinking, right? You actually find out what was included in the cup of tea. That's what state aid is like. You have this wonderful cup of tea, you drink it, then next November you'll find out what you were drinking. Okay? I don't know, you know. Yeah, don't get excited about state aid. Yeah. The very last document for the audit committee agenda is something that I've prepared for throughout my career. Let's leave it at that. So in 2016, one of the recommendations that the comptroller had was to have a reserve plan. Every district should have a reserve plan. And most districts out there do not have a reserve plan. What's a reserve plan? It lists the reserve that you have, the purpose, when it was created, how it can be used, and the funding level. And then it makes you project forward to see how you're going to use that specific reserve. Let's take an easy example, the 2018 capital reserve, right? The district utilized $3 million from that 2018 capital reserve. What the board needs to know is how much remains in that 2018 capital reserve, how long can you tap into that 2018 capital reserve, and how much money that you can put in each year. So say we have, I'm just plucking from air, you have 2018, 2020, you have 3 more years, right? Just for grins and giggles, it's 3 more years. And you're going to put $500,000 in for the next 3 years. So that's $1.5 million. What are you going to use it for? What's your next project? What is your plan for that? Okay? So what I have included is just a very rough draft of what I've done for previous districts. It doesn't have to be adopted on June 9th. But I would really like some feedback, some consideration as to what I'm presenting. What we did have to do on the property tax report card is we did have to project intended uses for 25-26. This document would be intended uses for all your reserves. Okay? And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa?
So Lisa, if, like I was looking through the different reserves and like the unemployment reserve, if we don't have any intentions of laying anybody off or having a decrease in staff, can that be used for?
How exactly? How can those funds, can they be transferred to another reserve? Do they have to be put back into the general fund unappropriated reserve? That's what I should be able to tell you with this document. So you can come up with a concrete plan and use it in conjunction with your audit.
Thank you.
Okay, your long-range financial plan, it all ties back here. Okay?
As far as feedback on it, I think for me, a missing piece has been when the reserve expires. Like
Yep.
how long we have to fund it, and when it expires, like you were saying, what can happen to it.
Yep.
Can we transfer those funds into another reserve? Do we have to vote, create a new reserve to transfer those funds into?
Limitations.
Yep. We will be asking you to consider some fund balance changes on June 9th, and that you typically do every year, just to clean up for the auditors. What are we doing? I think this gives you more answers to your questions as to why we're doing it and where we can move funds from. Okay?
I can send the ASBO, or it's the reserves, I think I have it in my office, I think we shared it before. It's the reserve and what it can be used for and what it can't be used for.
There's a beautiful book.
Yeah, I can share that out with the board, so that has everything in it from the law, so I mean,
Yep.
we'll give it specifics to you when we talk about specific ones, but there's a document that comes out. State
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jim gave us a
Yeah,
cheat sheet on
yeah,
that
and I think I
years
have it,
ago,
but I can easily get it again.
that if that could be like an appendix to
Yeah.
the
I'd be
reserve
happy to
plan, I think
share
that'd
that.
be really helpful.
Yeah, it's like a 2-pager, it basically has every reserve, what it can be used for, what it can't be used for, and how it can or cannot be transferred.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Kathy, we're good?
Yes, we're good.
All right, with that, we finished the audit committee meeting. Thank you all for your patience. And we move to item 1.3 in the board meeting, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. There is a flag kind of near the book we turn on that side of it. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. Board members are here, with the exception of our student board member who's unable to be here this evening. So there you go. And now we go to our budget hearings. So what are we gonna do? You know, with our budget hearing?
All right. So, Lisa, I have it all set up for us.
Okay,
All right.
that means you're gonna do it?
You can do it from there if you'd like.
No.
At this point, I feel like we're old hat after our video too. You know, we did such a nice
Oh,
job.
yeah.
So one thing is, the budget hearing is today, as you know. There are some state guidelines and timeframes that we have to deal with. Our budget newsletter is actually out there, is up and there for anyone who wants it. It's going out in the mail tomorrow. It's part of our budget hearing and budget notice. I'm also having it posted on the website and sent out through School Messenger, so that way people who are already within it get it very quickly as well. I can't always trust the mail, so we just want to try to safeguard making sure everybody gets it as much as best as possible. And as you all know, now we have a state budget, so it at least finalizes a little bit more of where we are. We have done this a few different times, so not much has changed, so I might skip through a little bit if that's all right for people. Are we okay with that? All right, so the first few slides have not changed since the very beginning. So the planning document, as we talked about, we really try to safeguard everything that we're doing, planning for the future, some of the reserves, things that are coming, things that are not coming. How do we safeguard for all the future? Because as you know, it's uncertain times, and we do not know what the future is going to bring when it comes to funds. So trying to make decisions that will be able to keep us sustainable. We look at all different types of topics, from facilities, safety initiatives, mental health supports, curriculum supports, personnel. We review SEL supports, learning opportunities, professional development, training for staff, instructional needs, which is facility, transportation, equipment, cost increases, contractual health insurance, employee benefits. We can't always know that everything's going to happen, but we do our best to kind of figure it out. We work with everybody. They give me a superintendent budget to look through. I then work with Lisa, and we try to make recommendations that align with the board goals. This budget draft has not changed. It does not exceed the tax levy limit. It is still the 2% tax cap. We only need a simple majority to be able to pass it. We're preserving all current programs and services for students. Everything that's been budgeted is still budgeted. Nothing's getting cut. The only thing that we are looking at cutting is 2 teacher assistants that were done through attrition through retirement. Those are the only things in the budget that we had this year that are not in the budget for next year. Everything else that's in the budget isn't. So for an example is, you saw that there's a resignation of a staff member today. And somebody said, well, you're not filling that position. Nope, that position's already in the budget. We've already budgeted for that position. The only things that are getting cut is what we've already discussed. So it's the 2 teacher assistants through attrition. Everything else, we're rehiring and refilling any positions that we have. So we are looking at a social worker position, part-time social worker. We are looking at partnering with BKW on that. They are looking for a part-time social worker as well. So we are looking at sharing that together, sharing that cost, and also hoping to get a full-time staff member and be able to attract better candidates if we work together. So Brand Next Westfield will work with us on that. And we keep on looking at all our known costs, our health insurance, that's really driving us, our capital projects and things like that. As you know, we are looking at a tax increase, and now we'll look at the planning document for Lisa. So, all you, Lisa.
Okay, I think you've heard this.
I know I went quickly when I
many
talked.
times. Okay, so an overall increase of expenditures is 42,884.12. Significant decreases the interfund transfers I mentioned at the audit committee, meaning you have $3 million that was going to fund the capital project. That is no longer needed. It's one-time use. Debt service, and I'm sorry, I'm going the bottom up. Debt service is the biggest increase, and as we've mentioned previously, that will pay for the December 2022 $25 million project. That's the first principal and interest or mortgage payment on the construction project. Employee benefits are going up significantly. Health insurance, 16%. Pupil transportation increasing slightly, 213, 835, not slightly, that's a big number. Instruction, 567, 635, that's due to contractual increases. And general support, 348, 963 is the increase. And I really, turn the page please. I detailed what category, why there are increases. One that I forgot to mention was the property casualty liability insurance is increasing significantly. And we found that after we thought we had finalized the budget, so we had to include that increase. Let's see, let's go to page 10, please.
Can I ask a question? The debt service payments, what's the frequency of those? Is it
Principal and interest, principal once a year, interest twice a year for the next 15 years. Okay, so this is in a nutshell a tax cap calculation. The tax cap 25-26 is 22,253,153. The actual 24-25 tax cap, the tax levy was $21,114. A dollar difference of $1,253,039, which is a total increase of 5.97%, of which that 5.97, 2.5% is for the new debt. So overall, all the other increases account for 3.47%. And this is at your maximum allowable levy, 50% plus 1.
What I've been saying to people when I meet with them and have conversations is, if we did not have the approved capital project, we would probably be at 3.47, because that's our tax cap and everything that goes along with it. This is where we would be. And that is typical to where we typically are, right around those areas. That 2.5% extra is that approved capital project that we have to pay for somehow. That's where it's coming. And I kind of put it into two buckets so everybody has that understanding. And Lisa and I went to a recent luncheon and we were sharing this, and people, they understood it. You know, they actually said, we totally understand, like we get this. So just sharing it in that realm, I think, is an important concept, is that people understand there's two buckets there. There is our capital project bucket, and then there is our overall general fund that we do here.
And the 2.5% increase that gets included in the levy, that we don't have to like do another 2.5% next year.
Correct.
That's just baked in going forward.
It's baked in, sets the tone, is always there. So that way, when we do another capital project, when our debt services come off, instead of having a gap year, we want to be able to put new debt on. So that way, we want to make sure we're planning for another capital project. So we don't see another increase like this again, or a decrease that we're headed. So we want to be able to future-proof so this doesn't happen in the future.
It's very important that you include your financial advisors in these conversations, and they'll talk about level debt, level debt. Level debt is where you won't see a 2.5% increase. And you will have that coming up in future years. You'll have that opportunity because you do have some debt service that is going off the books within the next 5 years. Okay? Okay. Page 11. So these are our revenue sources. Just like every other school district, we have state and federal aid. Other revenue sources, tax cap, which I just explained, appropriate reserve, fund balance, and the total income sources of 34,525, 250, which is showing an increase of 42,884. Okay. Page 12 just shows that we have a balanced budget. Our revenues equal our expenditures. Page 13, we just have to present the budget in 3 parts. So what you saw on previous pages, page 7, is just restated on page 13 into administrative, program, and capital. And there's a very specific framework that us number crunchers have to recode those expenditures in. So administrative would be everything under general support, plus a portion of employee benefits. Program, it's instruction, it's instructional services. And capital is operations, maintenance, debt service, and employee benefits. So the total again is 34,525, 250. Okay, page 14, and this is,
Let me preface this one.
yeah,
This is all tentative. This is not set in stone. These are examples of true value of what tax rates could be. It does not mean they will be this. We're doing our best just to kind of give estimates so people have an understanding of it. So if they're lesser or higher, please understand we don't have control of that. Equalization rates are something that we can try to estimate, but not always, be able to know for sure. If you remember I was there, I just moved into Weatherfield, and I thought taxes were going to be one thing, the equalization rate hit, and my taxes doubled for school taxes. And I knew it wasn't the school's fault, it was equalization rate. Equalization rate was completely out of control. It has to do with the assessed value of the homes, and a whole bunch of other things, but sometimes we have no control of those equalization rates.
No, we have no control, not sometimes.
Yeah, we have no control, correct. So even though we're trying to give you this example, I do want to really set in stone that we're trying to give an example of what this is based on our growth and everything else, but these are estimates. Lisa?
yeah, I thought this. Just because once you say a number, people will hang their hat on that number, and this is so out of our control that it makes me very uncomfortable. Enough said. What I did is I looked on New York State equalization and assessment, and like anybody else can, I pulled up Albany County, I pulled up school districts, I printed out the information, and they were all tentative rates that were there. So that's step 1. The next step was I contacted New Baltimore, Guilderland, and Bern assessors, and they were kindly presented to me the assessment data as of May 1st. Okay, again, tentative. So I took that information along with those equalization rates and our proposed tax levy, and I came up with these rates. Again, tentative rates. Any questions? And it's probably going to change. Okay. Number 15, we're asking the voters to consider the bus proposition, 2 large 72-passenger diesel school buses at a cost not to exceed $371,000.
In 2027, I haven't seen much changes yet on the fact that school districts still have to buy electric buses. There's been a little bit of change. We have not seen the full regulations come out of what those changes are, but you still have to start purchasing. So we do need to start future-proofing that, getting some reserves in place. Electric buses can be a very large expense, anywhere between $350,000 to $450,000 per bus. So that's double where we currently are on our buses. So this bus reserve will help us do that. We're going to increase our fleet with diesel. making sure that we have enough buses to last us for the long term until the electric buses can actually meet the needs of our district. We do have a fleet study, and our fleet study is pretty clear that we cannot have a full fleet of electric buses given the current makeup of it. It just wouldn't meet the needs of our district. So doing this helps us and also sets our taxpayers up so we're not feeling the full brunt of this when we do go out and buy those new electric buses.
You're talking about the
Bus reserves.
bus reserve, the
Yeah.
next slide.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's talk about this bus reserve, next slide. So it's in essence, it's a capital reserve. Okay, only it's not for construction, it's for the purpose of purchasing equipment. So I believe a capital reserve cannot exceed a period of 10 years. It must state the purpose and it must state the maximum amount it will be and where the source of funds are. So according to this, it would be established July 1st, 2025. The maximum amount would be $5 million. The duration would be 10 years. It does allow the district to put unreserved unappropriated fund balance in as of June 30th, 2024 if this is approved. So that's a good thing. And it doesn't limit. You could put all, I don't think you don't have the funds to do so, but if you had a $5 million, you could fund it all at once and that's it. That's it. You've reached the total amount, but you haven't reached the term. Okay?
Okay, so next steps. So we have 2 board candidates running for the position, that is Barbara and Rob. They are the incumbents running, unopposed. Our budget vote is May 20th, it's next time. It's right around the corner, it's unbelievable. And really, we are here, so are there any questions?
Thank you guys for all the work you've been doing to get this. I know that there have been so many different moving parts. It's had its own special exciting. All right, so thank you. Next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, is the budget vote. You can have your absentee ballot, or you can come in and enjoy voting in the booth. Democracy in action here.
Is it too late to get an absentee ballot if somebody needs one?
No.
College students could probably get them.
Just when is the last time for an absentee ballot?
Or people
You know off the top of your head, sorry.
No, but it's not too far away actually, because the mail, if it's mailed, it should be soon. There is a date. But the mail, has to get back by 5 o'clock on the day. But pickup can be anytime, it could be the day of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Encourage people to vote. With that, we have a second public hearing today. The public hearing about video conferencing board meetings. This is a policy that's being brought forward to allow sort of reverting to the time when we were more able to do remote meetings. And this allows board meetings to be held sort of remotely for folks who can't attend. So if there's any, do you want to talk it through? And then if there's anyone, you'll have the opportunity for the public to be heard.
Yeah.
Anything about it.
I was gonna say Barbara, Matt, jump in if there's anything I missed. We've talked about this policy before. We've had a couple of fits and starts on trying to get it in front of the board in terms of the process for that. But this policy in its revised form, we already have this policy, but in its revised form, it would allow board members who have extraordinary circumstances, such as illness, caregiving responsibilities, etc., to participate remotely, and their location does not need to be open to the public. So if you have a sick child, you can join remotely through, say, a Google Meet, which would allow as well for public participation, which is required under this change in the law. You could be at home with your sick child and still participate, have full voting rights. But if your location is not open to the public, you wouldn't count towards establishing a quorum. Anything
when someone does participate under the extraordinary circumstances, that's provision will say that those meetings have to be streamed to the public and provide them with the opportunity to participate in the meeting in real time. But other than that,
So I guess we can open it up to comments from the public, right? Do we have to?
Well, what I was thinking was, because we have two items that have been public hearings, why don't we, after for the good of the order, we'll have the opportunity for the public to be heard, and that would be all encompassing. Thing, so hopefully all the present are comfortable with just holding off for one more item. Here, all the hearings. All right, thank you to the policy committee for all the work you've done to bring it forward, fits and starts included. With that, we go to the good of the order. I know there's a setting fifth grade play I'm going to miss. There's a Marine convention, a Marine sniper convention, and graduation places, so my family will be dispersed and not be able to attend. But there's been a lot going on, and unfortunately I have two board members not here to relay anything, so members of the board line to share any right for the order.
I've been getting a lot of updates on senior assassin, which I did not know was a thing until this year.
Yes, goggles are key.
But I'm seeing a lot of kids walking around with goggles around their neck or their heads.
How do you know they're still in?
Yes. Yeah, so
Yes.
apparently it's very exciting.
It's good.
It's a squirt gun.
Yes. And I'll give a shout out to the, what is it called, Birdcage Sports.
Okay, yeah.
They're doing such a great job, like using all the like video resources and producing like a regular update on Instagram, I think.
Yep.
They're doing a great job, like such personalities and
That's
I'm enjoying
interesting.
their updates.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a great job, Tony Deanna, and Joe Kelly, and I think Lucas Hellman is their cameraman. So
Fantastic.
yeah, great job.
Well, I think with that, we'll move to the opportunity for the public to be heard. We've had two presentations for hearings about the budget and also about the new conference and board meetings. So if any members of the public would like to speak to those things or on another topic as well, we can have that hearing conclude and including ones. Okay. We're going to skip item 3.1, unfortunately, and we'll move directly to item 3.2. Thank you all for being here for those two hearings, though. We appreciate your presence, and if something comes to the second opportunity. Frank, would you like to?
All right. So I'm going to kind of go in different orders of what's up there. On the board members' table is a little token of my appreciation. Each year I try to do something for staff appreciation. May is appreciation month, I think almost for all educators. So teacher appreciation, administrator appreciation, nurse appreciation, like it's everyone. And really it's everybody in this district really takes it together, right? It's not just one person. My mom was a custodian for 32 years and then a bus monitor and lunch lady in retirement. So she could never leave the district. And you know, from teacher to administrator to custodian to bus driver to secretary, food service workers, everybody takes it together, and especially board members, because you get paid so much to do all this, and we appreciate everything you do. But really, honestly, this is it. So each year, typically, I have the students in Mr. Tursky's class. They usually make a pin, but I realized there is really nowhere to put the pins. So this year, what I did is I just ordered these for everyone that is affiliated and works within the district. I have another 100 coming. I ordered 250 or 60, and I'm short a few. So there are more coming for more people. Again, I want to make sure volunteers, PTA members, like I gave one to Ms. Newell, who is always here doing all of our costumes. She does every single costume in every single play. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody gets these and has appreciation for it. And it's a small thing that I just try to do for others. So they do so much. Next, I want to talk about the capital project. Yay! So multiple cap projects, we're going to talk more in depth about facilities committee. Our transportation facility really is coming along really quick. We are looking at the July, we're gonna try scheduling actually when we're gonna have our opening day. We're gonna have a little event, balloons, people, maybe some, serve some hot dogs, and get people to actually see what it looks like in there. If you notice, they've come back to do some of the fencing. It's because what ended up happening, the large fence poles that were out there, the manufacturer, some of the poles were smaller than they should have been. So myself and Mr. Mayo, our interim director of facilities, felt that we paid for certain poles. We want the poles that we paid for, and that means they had to come up, rip out the old one, rip out the foundations, reset the foundation, and put in the new poles. So they're back there ripping it up and putting them in, but we're getting all these really nice poles, and those poles are the ones that are like the 30-foot ones, so that way any foul balls or anything like that do not go over, or hopefully don't go over into the transportation facility. We're refinalizing our paving, everything else. So the transportation facility is up and running. That's awesome. We're very excited about that. As you know, we had to make some hard decisions when it came to the bid project for the elementary school. That construction project has been awarded. We've already started with the abatement contractors in there to be able to start scheduling and understanding their schedule. So that's first step, May 20th, which is right around the corner. We're meeting with them as construction to really try to work out a schedule. Mr. Mayo and Mr. Benzie are going to start working with staff members because we don't know the exact dates yet. We won't know exact dates of when everything is done or when we're scheduling until we get that construction meeting. So as soon as that construction meeting really gets down and we really figure it out, we'll be able to move a lot faster on some of the planning. The goal is still going to be opening up in August, getting everybody in like we said. Now that it's kind of limited in comparison to some of the scope, really do think that that's going to be doable for us to make sure that we're back into the building and there. But again, construction projects are construction projects. You have really no control after you get into it, especially with the building as old as it is. That is a concern that we have when we open it up to find out what's hidden behind the walls.
Buried treasure. Let's go buried treasure.
I'm hoping buried treasure would be great, but we're definitely seeing. So yeah, it'd probably be asbestos. That could be buried treasure as well, and it will cost a fortune. So really, that's where we stand on that. Other stuff we're going to talk about facilities. Any questions?
For the people who have to move, like
Yeah.
say the art room,
Yep.
is there going to be some maintenance for them?
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge
Yep, they're working on that with Mr. Benzia now. They're looking at days and times that we can get coverage to help support them. So Jeff is well aware. He's working with them directly and making sure that we can get that. So again, after May 20th, after that construction project, I know that we've already asked for boxes and things. I know Jeff has been in conversation with them as well. One of the things that we've been trying to figure out is where do we put all this stuff? So, one of the finalizations we just made is the gym will be great because there's no work getting done in the gym, and we can always delay putting some of this work out, like the gym floors. So any of like the storage things that we need to have, so art room, music room, that's going to go back into those locations. Instead of getting storage, we can keep it on site in the rooms. So that's one of the things we're trying to work out is when they close up, where do they put it, and then how do we get it quickly back in the room? So saving some man hours, saving some time from getting it up here in comparison to keeping it on site.
And that's after school's over.
They're working on the timeframes of when they could be. It might be during school day, and Jeff might be getting them some coverages. So I'm really looking for.
No, I mean as far as phys ed classes.
Oh yeah, the after. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Like in the phys ed room, it'll be when they're not going to use the gym, or on the stage, or in a storage box outside for everything, or inside. It all depends. So this is the things. Again, all things we got to work through. Right? That would be perfect. So again, none of this is easy. None of this is set in stone, and we really are waiting on all the instructions and all the primes. There's a lot of hands in this, and so we really just have to try to organize it as best we can. So no solid answers. Let's put it that way. And even with the transportation facility, we've been doing this almost for a year now. It's still, every week we have our meetings. Every week we're trying to problem solve and figure things out. That's large construction. No asbestos. But thank you, Kit. Yes, it was after it's done. We're trying. But we probably will end up getting Conex boxes as well. So trying to figure it out. Last thing that I had on was a discussion that I wanted to bring up regarding student board members. So as you know, we're in June, we try to finalize our student board members. One thing, as I've been talking to other school districts, is that they have more than one. And that's something I wanted to the board to think about. Sometimes they have 2 and or 3, depending on the school district and the size. Sometimes they have 1 and then they have an alternate where they kind of work together. So that way, our students are very busy. They have busy lives. They're trying to do a lot of things. It allows for that flexibility for the students. It gives more experience to students as well. I just wanted to know how the board felt about maybe possibly having 2 student board members, maybe one person and then maybe one person who is the alternate. Just wanted to kind of open it up and see how you felt.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Now, do you think 2 at the same time or alternates?
I like having two.
If they want to come, they can. If not, they can just choose one.
Yeah, I think it's good experience for the students, and this way, if one can't make it, hopefully the other can share the info.
So they both give a presentation?
I would leave it to them to work out who's gonna talk about what.
Some school districts I've talked to, only one person gives a presentation. One goes, if they have time, they sit in the audience, they kind of share, they can jointly do it if they want to. A lot of times the school districts are telling me that they typically only have one student there because the students are so busy. So we're definitely up for 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can try to take it.
Would that require, I mean, I assume that's permitted.
Yeah, it just said student board member, so an alternate for it I don't think is any issue. I've looked at other places, I haven't seen how many or what it is, so it's just we can appoint 2.
I think we looked at this in policy too, right, and we made a change. Didn't we do this policy recently?
Yeah, it was a change to open it up per the regulation to offer.
Yeah, and I thought
Oh,
we
yes,
addressed, I thought when we.
Yeah, it's not just a senior and.
And is there any change in the selection process based on the new rate?
I thought that when we looked at it, we considered, because you had raised this a while back.
Yeah.
Which policy number is this?
It
I
is,
just don't think we finalized it.
we amended it December 9th of 24. And we can look at it again, but I thought we broadened it so that it could, it's,
I don't think we brought it into the amount.
2245.
Maybe.
No, we got it now. It says, and, it looks like everything's in the singular.
Yes.
We can fix that.
Could that be adjusted for the June meeting?
Sure, yeah, we can get that done.
Just add that.
At our June meeting, yeah.
Thank you.
If you want, I can take a stab at it.
Sure.
And then that way, just a couple words. Should it be 2 or should it be an alternate? That's gonna be one of the questions with the language.
I'm good with 2.
2 is fine. Now, they may or may not function as an alternate or not limited to functioning together or as alternates for each other.
Yeah, make
Just
it
giving it,
flexible.
yeah, it's flexible, okay. Yep.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Frank. Thank you again, Lisa, for the budget report, which was for budget hearing. With that, we move to the minutes. 4.1, the approval of minutes from our April meeting. Any comments, would anyone like to move forward? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
For the April 23rd minutes, she wasn't. I just wanted to. Treasurer's report and claim auditor reports, is everyone comfortable with combining those 2? Okay, anyone want to comment or question, discuss, or move? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Personnel items? Questions, comments, thoughts? Move. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, welcome to everyone who's joining Voorheesville District. CSE recommendations and the proceeds sublist, and approval of bid for produce. There were 2 bids. I'm gonna put those 3 together. If everyone's okay with that, we can discuss them. If there are any questions or thoughts, or if anyone would like to move them. I'll move it. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Cole Summer Writers Institute. Questions, thoughts, comments? Move it.
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, New Scotland Soccer Club Agreement, not yet reflecting, that exciting calculation of the impact of soccer versus walking around. And also the Helderberg Workshop Agreement, both these, I think, are for facilities. Helderberg for facilities?
No, Halberg didn't.
No, okay,
This is the first year we've done that.
with
In contract.
paper,
Yeah,
with paper.
Okay, formally, okay.
So, yes, but I've heard that when the buses stopped, it was very troublesome. So it'd be nice.
I seem to remember when my kids did it, like maybe Bethlehem was doing bus service.
So the Helderberg Workshop Agreement is for us to allow our buses to go. Nonprofits can lease out their buses to other nonprofits. Or we as a municipality can lease out our buses to other nonprofits per an agreement. Written agreements are always better, so it shows exactly what is needed. So this year, we did it last year as well. So this is the year that we're finalizing a little bit more because there's some more asks, more buses, a monitor, a couple more timeframes. So they are doing that. So the agreement's been drafted by our school attorney and we're through with us. So. And the New Scotland Soccer Club Agreement, as Rachel was saying, it reflects the current use of facilities, not the Cornell Cooperative, not the Cornell study that showed the differences between walking and using fields and how much more time or effort needs to go in to be able to maintain them through the Cornell study, which we'll be talking about at facilities. Just a little clarification.
We can talk about it.
Robin, you're very excited about it.
I'm gonna watch this meeting several times. Would anyone like to move these or discuss them more further?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
For 5.8, 5.9, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Audit Committee, would you like to review it or would you like to? Nope, we just discussed, okay. Curriculum has not met.
We have not, and we need to work on a date, because we currently have some contingency days. So we have this, so we had to change the dates. So looking like the first week of June.
Looking forward to finding out when. Me too. All right. Facilities is not meeting tomorrow, I believe, but you did meet last
We
week.
did meet, Frank covered a bunch of it. Some things he didn't, with capital project stuff, roof water testing was gonna happen over spring break, I'm excited. I don't know if you want to, spoilers, we can wait till next week.
No, you can spoil, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Wait till next week.
So I will say that, again, our Director of Facilities, Joe Mayo, has done a phenomenal job looking into this and really going, Elisa's shaking her head, yes, really phenomenal job. When they came in, they found a lot of smaller little areas that he actually had patched right away, little pinholes, little things going on in there. So was able to actually address major issues that were going on. But again, when you fix one leak, all of a sudden another one comes up and you have no idea where it came from. But he does have some solutions. He's working with Mosaic and the architects really to address it. So with our new capital project, which is a $100,000 one for next year, we really will be able to address some major issues on those roofs and fixing it and getting us in a warranty and doing all the things that we need to do. So he does have a report. I believe I shared it out once over again and can't share it again. But really he's done a lot of work to make sure those roofs are getting up to where they need to be.
We touched on some pothole, some cleanup stuff. And that the neat one, the trap shed in that storage, like so we're fixing that up, making it better.
Yes, and Joe has ideas at facilities. He's actually gotten quotes for roof, door, to actually, since we have a found building and it's there, why not fix the found building? So that's our goal. So he's got some ideas and plans, and we're gonna talk about that facilities, get that up and running.
Yeah, I think that was about it. Some other, yeah. So that's
policy?
We met, last week, I think, it was. We have a few policies on the agenda for tonight. I prefer to just talk to them when we get to them,
Absolutely.
so everything's fresh. I know when we have our next committee here, I think historically, policy hasn't really met over the summer. But we talked about if we stayed together as a group, essentially meeting over the summer, because we've got some items that are on our list that we would like to kind of knock out, including transportation policies in July. We have a whole group on our running list of transportation policies that we want to try and get done.
There's so many plans.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna start singing like the Grease song.
So, but mainly so that Annie Potts can really like dig in over the summer and start to implement any changes that we make.
And if there are other members of the board who would like to be on the policy committee,
You're welcome to, yeah.
we will work through those.
I'll yield. I'll yield my position.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got, I mean, we've made good progress, but we still have a lot to get through.
Let's see what that is. Okay, well, thank you all for what you've been doing there. All right, with that, we'll move to the new business item 7.1, the SBQRA resolution. Are there any questions or comments?
I'm trying to remember what it is.
State and
Oh, yeah.
Stuff
This is just, we have to say it as a board.
It's formality, we have to do for every project that we do.
This is for the $100,000 roof project.
That's good. Right. Okay, that dye that's being poured down little holes.
What everybody.
They're just using planning words.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions, comments, or anyone like to move it? Second, all in favor?
Thank you.
And I remember years and years and years ago, when APC came in, or we started that whole conversation about APC, about energy performance contract, Danforth, and so on. Are there any discussions or questions for that? Or would anyone like to move this? Item 7.2.
I'll move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so a week from tomorrow is a vote here for the school budget, library, candidates, et cetera, and resolutions. We need to appoint folks. Are there any questions or comments about this resolution? Not, would anyone like to move it?
I'll move it.
Second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
7.4, this was the forward, we had a public hearing. Questions, comments, or move it?
Just one note on this, that we have the policy up next. So assuming we approve the resolution as a board, we'll need to amend the policy to include the resolution number and the date. And Frank asked me to say that, so.
And I believe there's something for everyone to sign.
Yeah, so anyway,
So we have to take them separately.
Yes.
yeah, so first we have to approve the resolution.
So- Move it,
I'll move it.
second it,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Now, let's go to policy, 7.5. Any conversation, or, I know this was a really big challenge to pull together.
Yeah, there's some nuances and we have to consult with council a couple of times, especially about the resolution and the process. I'll just make the motion to amend the policy that's posted to include today's date and the resolution number.
Second, was that?
Yeah, and with that, I'll
Okay,
move
with
it,
those
yeah.
changes, seconding it,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, 7.6, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so this one is a policy that covers certain pay and benefit type issues when management confidential staff. It has not been updated since 2007, so it was in need of some updates to bring in line with our other labor management contracts. So those changes have been negotiated and are reflected in the policy.
Okay. Any questions or comments or? I'll move it. Moving, seconding? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
So welcome. Textbook policy including non-public schools.
Okay, so I'll comment on 7.7 and 7.8 at the same time because they're kind of related.
Yep.
So 1740, we have this policy, and our policy is called textbook policy, including non-public schools. The NISBA policy is called relations with non-public schools. I don't know if anybody has thoughts on whether we keep our title. I think it was probably an oversight when we moved this forward that we did not change the title.
Well, Jess asked me, and I said, just keep it for now, and then we can always.
Okay, all right, good.
I said, I'm not gonna change anything without discussion, so.
Yeah,
just keep it
so
as is.
I would think, because it's broader than just textbooks, I think we should go with NISBA's title of relations with non-public schools. And this one, we looked at it because we had gotten, one, it was a NISBA update, and two, we'd gotten a question from a community member about whether non-public school students could participate in some of our extracurricular activities. And under our current policy, the answer is none. And we then looked at the homeschool students policy, which did allow for participation in extracurricular activities. So we thought there was a bit of an inequity there that we wanted to remedy. So in both policies, we've now expanded the language to allow for either homeschooled or non-public student participation in extracurricular activities at the discretion of the superintendent, and so long as there's space in the program. So those changes were made. And then one other note on 1740, there's a cross-reference to a policy that we don't yet have, but we're gonna do it in June. It has to do with, I'm gonna blank on the title. I'll tell you in a sec. It's 4321.10, and
The program and services program to replace non-public school student disabilities.
thank you, yes, that's what it is. We have a whole bunch of 4321 point whatever policies, but we do not have that one. And we don't have a policy that we thought was substantially similar enough to not address this one. And that was also in this update, the 4321.10. So we can, I think for purposes of this meeting, we can remove the cross-reference on 1740, and then when we do 4321.10 at our June meeting, we'll put this one back up.
But
To
it'll
add
take
the
2 months,
cross-reference.
it'll take a first read and a second read, because it'll be a new policy, so we have to have.
You're right, yeah, so 4321.10 would be a first read in June.
A second read.
Actually, I don't know if we're meeting before. We need to work out the timing on that, it may have to be later.
It'll come in when it comes in.
Yes, yeah, whenever it's ready, but our plan was to review it in the June meeting, and then you'll see it on the next board meeting agenda.
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing to the extracurricular activities, just to clarify for anyone who's watching this afterwards, is that extracurricular activities is not intramural sports. Commissioner regulation is very clear on intramural sports. It does not include that. So we follow the commissioner's regulations when it comes to those things. Extracurricular activities are non-credit bearing organized school activities. So this is clubs, this is open, things that are open to the general public. So they are not non-credit bearing. So let's say jazz band, right? Jazz band is a non-credit bearing course after school, but band is a credit bearing course, right, and lessons. So you can't do that. It has to be non-credit bearing, and it cannot be an intramural sport or an athletic sport, because those are not allowed by commission regulations.
Detention.
Yeah, it can be done to
Could
their address.
be esports.
It could be esports, it could be esports. It cannot be a non-credit bearing ski club, esports, it just cannot be something, again, it's base provided, right?
Yes.
If we have 2 buses and we only have 60 kids, those 60 kids are, for ski club would first go to district students.
Yeah.
Then if there's space provided, then would be open up to non-pop kids or homeschool students. But I just want to be very, very clear for anyone listening that it doesn't include sports. Commission regulations are very clear. And the policy both states that as well.
With that, those are good additions. With that, 1740 and 1741, with those changes as noted. Are there any comments or questions, or anyone like to move those?
I'll move them.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Frank, I'm gonna just call you out here. Frank has chosen to recognize Jim Sudley generously and kindly going forward, along with members of the families. Jim continues to be missed and will be missed, but he is being recognized in the with a Starfish Award scholarship because of the Starfish Award.
No, that's it. His wife and sister are helping me fund this for 6 years at $250 for a student. Jim was an interesting fellow, and he had a wide array of interests. So really, this is for those students that make an impact without asking for the impact, and kind of like Jim. So kind of what we're looking for, and we're just excited that we can be able to offer this for our students.
I feel like they did that sense of humor too. Not that I can, not that I can say.
A very dry sense
Yeah.
of humor, but yes, it's a
No, that's good. So are there questions or comments? Would anyone like to move this? I'll move it. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
We have a donation being gracefully offered. Alright, you want to stay? You want to repeat yourself? Or you want to move it?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, with that, we have an opportunity for the public to be heard. We did have those 2 hearings, and there was an opportunity to hear then about those items. This would include those items and anything else if you'd like. The podium is right there. If you'd like to not. There's a second opportunity for the public, for the board to be heard now. Don't forget the dates to remember. The next date to remember is May 20th, which is a week from Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Starting at 2:30 to 9 o'clock, you can vote right here in the lobby of the PAC. And then we have a board meeting, to be very brief, at 7:30 on Thursday to ratify the results of the election. I will need to know who can be there because we need to have a quorum.
What day is it?
That'd be Thursday the 22nd.
In the morning, can we technically do that at night after it's good? You're not enough group for that anyway. I'm just curious,
We've talked about it.
you know, like after.
No, so
It used to be
you
everybody.
can't, but
would
you
show
have to have legal counsel there if you were going to do that. There's,
Oh, you do?
Yeah, there's some other kind of rules and regulations about that. So no.
I will be at a college. So it's the Thursday before,
Thursday or Wednesday?
Thursday,
Because it goes on Tuesday.
yes,
Oh, that's the day after.
Thursday.
I actually can.
Wow, sorry.
Oh.
I did not, no, I mean, it's just like your schedule is very
I
unflexible.
know, that's, I just said, that's what my contingency is, I don't suppose.
Okay.
Do you want to? I'll be waiting, it's fine.
Okay, good job. So not you,
What time is it?
7:30.
Yeah.
It is very brief, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a call. Thank you. And with that, would anyone like to move this to adjourn?
I'll move that.
Second?
I'll say that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all. Thank you, Jessica. Nobody in the board should move until you, or leave until Oh.